guys, long time no see. I am Jenny with Homeschool Teens with Jenny and taking the opportunity today to update you on high school science. I have a ninth grader and I have an 11th grader. And this year we chose to do Master Books Chemistry. And I wanted to give you guys kind of an update on how that was going, as well as what adjustments I had to make for my ninth grader. So this is Master Books Chemistry. I have a flip through on my channel. I'll put it in the card above if you haven't seen that flip through. And I have several updates on this on my channel. And basically my ninth grader wanted to take this with her brother, who is my 11th grader. And so because they wanted to do it together, normally I would not have picked chemistry for a ninth grade high school student. And what we found was that it wasn't necessarily the math that was the problem. A lot of times when you think about chemistry, you think, okay, my student needs to be in Algebra 2 in order to do it. And that really wasn't the case in this. We did a lot of calculations and equations and conversions early in the course. And so the first semester was full of math, and she did completely fine with that being in Algebra 1. The problem came in on reading a text and being able to interpret it when a question was not just asking for a summarization or kind of a regurgitation of the information, but you actually had to do a little more deeper thinking and take a more complicated text and be able to interpret it when a different question was asked about the same material. I don't know if that makes sense, but in working through this, both me and my husband worked with her off and on all through first semester. And that was the struggle. It wasn't the math. She actually, on the chapters that we did conversions, she did fantastic on. It was the more difficult advanced concepts where she needed to take what was presented to her and interpret it that was becoming a real problem. My 11th grader is a very high level thinker, and he's very good at taking difficult texts. He loves studying like theology and things that I don't even dabble deep into. I don't mind some theological study, but he really likes to get into deeper theological studies, and he can take complicated text and just come back at us and say, oh, it's about da 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 da, and to him, that's an easy skill. For her, it is not. And she was really struggling by the end of first semester. We would struggle through the worksheet, we'd struggle through the quiz, we'd struggle through the cumulative test that happened every 3 to 4 chapters. And it was getting to where it was just wearing down on her self-confidence. And she would make statements like, I'm just not good at science, or I'm just dumb, or whatever. And that is not an attitude that I wanted her to carry through the entire year of science. Even with me saying, look, this is difficult content. This course is scheduled for 11th and 12th graders. And I would study with her on the side. We would do reviews. I would put a lot of extra time into helping prepare her for these things, like the quizzes and the worksheets and different things. I had her taking notes as she read, and it just was getting so tedious. And we were just all exhausted. My husband, me, and her just had had enough. And so when we took a Christmas break, I said, what can we do to make science a little better for her? My son's doing fine, and he was going to continue with the Master Books Chemistry. But for her, I just felt we needed to make a change. And so I said, look, you have put in a full semester of work. You have given it your absolute best, and you've done a lot of work. She got through, I think, 14 chapters or maybe 15. She did all the labs that were required. She did all the lab write-ups, which she was actually very good at. By the end of the semester, she had mastered doing lab write-ups. And these are not, I have them write up pretty detailed lab reports, and she was doing a great job with that. And she said, I don't want to lose all the time and effort I put into chemistry. And I thought, what course would a ninth grader normally take? And there's 2 choices. Typically, a ninth grader will either take physical science or biology. And so physical science is basically an introduction to chemistry and an introduction to physics. So I ended up giving her the half credit for chemistry. And so I said, if I turn this into physical science, I could give her a half credit for physics, and then we could have a physical science course for ninth grade, and she wouldn't lose all the work she put into it. So what I decided to do was, around this time that we were deciding that, Guest Hollow had come out with a bit of a sale, and they have a conceptual physics course. And what that means is there's no math in this course. So they call it conceptual physics, and that's exactly what would be included in physical science. And I thought that might be great because she has done really well this year with literature-based learning. It's not something my oldest liked. He wanted a textbook. He still does. He likes textbook and worksheets, textbooks and questions. That's just how he likes to learn. But my daughter is a completely different breed when it comes to education, and she really enjoys doing something different every day, not just going to the next chapter in the textbook. That really bores her and she kind of just zones out. And so she has really enjoyed literature-based learning. And so I was like, I think Guest Hollow might be a great fit for this. So I purchased the lesson plans and I said, this is just going to be a semester, and that is a year course. It's written for 36 weeks. And so I thought, how do I half it without really losing the conceptual physics aspect of it? I found that the main spine for that course is this book, Exploring the World of Physics. And this has, let me tell you, 14 chapters. And that is a really good semester, 14 good weeks of learning when you're adding experiments and all sorts of other things. And so I was like, how can I reduce this? Well, basically, I was looking through the lesson plan that Guest Hollow presents when you buy it. And what I was seeing was a pattern where they would use this book the first week to introduce that chapter. And then the next week, they would have other supplemental resources that were just building on what they learned in this book. And so what I did was I just deleted those supplemental weeks, and I ended up with a good 14 weeks that was based on this book alone. And so each week we go through one chapter in this book. Another thing I love about this book is that it has questions at the end of each chapter. So this is chapter 1 on motion, and it goes through and it talks about kind of the main questions it's going to address as you're reading through the chapter. And so she would take about 2 pages every day. And they do have equations and math in here to practice with if you would like to use that. And then they have the solutions at the end of the reading to answer the questions they presented at the beginning. And then you always have a questions page. And so I ask her to break it down into 2 to 3 pages a day for the chapter. And then the last day on Friday, she will do the questions. And I am finding that she is scoring 90 and above on every single chapter that we've done thus far. We will start chapter 4 this week. And along with that, I got 2 other books, and I'm just keeping this really simple. And this is Basher Science Physics, Why Matter Matters. And it's just kind of a comic book, but it goes through different physics terms that you would need to know. And it presents it in just kind of a nonchalant, fun way. And she really likes that, so she's enjoying this. We also got Junk Drawer Physics. And y'all, this is a great book. Even if you are in middle school science or elementary science and you just want experiments with things you have around the house, you don't need a lab kit with this. And it has been so fun. We've really enjoyed it. We have done all sorts of different things, and they give you pictures and a list. And then at the end of the experiment, they talk about the science behind it. And there's an explanation about why things happened the way they did. And the way that Guest Hollow has scheduled it, the experiment is going to reinforce what was studied here. So we have thoroughly been enjoying second semester science in approaching it that way. So I just wanted to share what we did, because Sometimes you get in a pickle like that halfway through the year, your student is just frustrated and struggling, and you're thinking, what can I do to just kind of pivot and not let them lose the work that they've done, but still turn things around, make things a little less stressful. And so in this instance, doing chemistry all year just wasn't going to work for her. But we were able to use all the work that she had put forth in first semester, get the guest hollow physics, which I think I paid $35 for, maybe 30 for the plans. And then I'm just using these 3 books. And it has worked beautifully. So it was a minimal cost. I didn't have to buy a lab kit because the junk drawer physics is all things we have around the house. A few times we've run to Ace Hardware or something to get a few things, but it's nothing expensive, just literally less than $10 of supplies. So we have had a great time with it. And so I just wanted to share how I turned chemistry into physical science. And if you're in the same boat, maybe that would help you guys as you're going through your high school years. If you find you get stuck, just think, how can I turn this into something else? And that's exactly what we did for her 9th grade year. So things have turned around. It's going much better now. And we are in the last stretch of school for her 9th grade year. We have 3 months left, maybe a little less than that. And we are just thrilled that we have really had a good year, and we're learning how she learns best for high school studies. And I'm teaching her a lot with note taking and how to pull out just the important points, not writing everything in your notes that you read. We're just fine-tuning a lot of those skills this year. And so I'm reading alongside her in the physics book. And as she reads, she's putting the points that she thinks are important. And then I go through and read the chapter. And if there's something that she's missed, or if there's a key concept that she's gotten a lot of details, but she hasn't been able to put it together, I'll just go ahead and write a few sentences on the side of her notes so she can kind of see how that fits together. And it's been working really great. It's kind of just a mentorship that we're doing to help us learn how to take good notes. And she's doing a great job with that. So I have been impressed. So that is how we turned chemistry into physical science. I hope to see you in a future video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.